Hello and welcome to an expert puzzle from my now dwindling stack of photostatic copies. I don't know how this is going to turn out. The last puzzle I did resort to using pencil marks, if for no other reason than to just demonstrate how I would go about doing so. I don't know if pencil marks will be necessary for this puzzle. We will just have to wait and see. As usual, I will just familiarize myself with the puzzle. It's very symmetrical. Quite a lot of givens, but that doesn't always mean that it is going to turn out to be an easy puzzle. I can tell you that much. While I'm studying the puzzle, I do see a couple of fives blocking these squares here. And I see the five blocking up here. So a five must go here. It's always nice to get the first digit under our belt. There's a 4 and a 6 here and a 4 and a 6 here, and that means that a 4 and a 6 will go into two of these three squares. It's something that I'm becoming increasingly aware of, this little methodology. It's often very productive. I'm also acutely aware that the 2 and the 3 will have to go here somewhere, and there's a 2 and a 3 blocking here, so unfortunately there's just one square too many to accommodate the 2 and the 3. But these are the things that I always look for. This is a 3 or a 6 because we need to find a 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 for these five squares. There's an 8 and a 7 and a 9 here, so this is a 3 or a 6. And the 7, 8, 9 therefore must go in three of these four squares. I'm studying this column here, for which we still need to find a 1, 4, 6, 7, and an 8. This just jumps out at me. There's a 1, 6, 7, 8 in this row, and they can all see this square. Therefore, this must be a 4. For this row, we need to find a 1, 2, 5, 4, and a 7. There's a 1, 2, 5, 4 already in this column, so the 7 has got to go here. And for each new digit that we find, we limit the squares available for other digits, and that is basically how we move forward. I'm looking at this column here, and I may have spotted something, but I'm not sure. I need to find a 1, 2, 4, 7, and 9. There's a 2, 7, 9 blocking here, so this is a 1, 4. There's a 7, 9 blocking over here, so this is a 1, 2, 4. There's a 1, 2, 7 blocking here, so this is a 4, 9. And I'm asking myself if this means something, if there's a hidden triple here that I'm not spotting. Maybe you are spotting it. I will keep this in mind, though, as I look at other squares. And so in yesterday's puzzle, I showed how to use pencil marks, and I might continue to do that today, just to see if we will need to come up with something more clever than just the Snyder notation. To recap, the Snyder notation says that if in a block of 3 by 3 squares, a digit can go in exactly two squares, but we don't know which one it's going to be, then we can enter a pencil mark. And quite often that will lead to the next digit. So why don't we try that for the ones? The one block's over here, therefore these two can be ones. This one block's over here and this one block's down, so these two can be ones. That's all we can say about the ones at this time. So the twos, we got a 2 blocking up and we got a 2 blocking over. So these two are candidates for twos. The 2 blocks over and the 2 blocks down. So again, a 2 can go in exactly two squares in this block number 8. And I don't think we can do more with the twos now. For the threes, let's see. Yes, we got a 3 blocking down and a 3 blocking over. So one of these is going to be a 3. The fours, 4 could go here or here. And a 4, because of the have these two 4s blocking over, a 4 could go here or here, like so. 5s, 5 blocking over, 5 blocking down. A 5 can go here or here, and 5 blocking down, over and up makes a 5 go in one of these two cells here. And that's it. No, we can also place a 5 in these two squares. A 6 must go here or here because we have two 6s blocking, and we have two 6s blocking upwards like so and one blocking across, so 6s can go here. The aim of this exercise is simply to see if we can come up with some squares that can contain exactly the two same numbers, making pairs. Or even better, if this exercise allows us to see more clearly and to spot a naked or a hidden single. We have got 6s blocking over like so, therefore one of these can be a 6. 7s now, two 7s blocking up here, and a 7 blocking across, makes this a 7. And we got 7s blocking like so, therefore a 7 must go in one of these two squares. And again, we got a 7 down and a 7 over, making one of these a 6, a 7. 8s, we got two 8s blocking and one 8 blocking down, so an 8 must go here or here. 8 blocking over, 8 blocking over, and 8 blocking up. One of these is an 8. As it is becoming pretty clear, I think, to everyone that this particular puzzle is not going to be breaking easily using Snyder notation. I didn't expect it to, though. We're done with the 8s. Now let's look at the 9s. A 9 blocks over here. Therefore, one of these must be a 9. We got a 9 blocking up. Therefore, one of these must be a 9. And we got, therefore, a 9 in one of these two squares. And I think that's it for the Snyder notation pencil marking. What does it show us? Well, it shows us that there are some squares that don't have pencil marks at all, and those are often quite important. Not in this case, though, because we can study this square and we can see that it needs, I think, a 3 and a 6. But since a 6 can go in 3 squares in this box here, and a 3 can also go. No, actually, a 3 can only go in two squares, yes. So what the Snyder notation gives us is a chance to look at the puzzle with fresh eyes and see if something pops right out at us and makes it easy for us to find the next digit. And frankly, for me, it doesn't in this instance, because the pencil marks are all over the place, even though we are adhering to the Snyder notation formula. So here is what I usually do, and I do that before I do any pencil marks at all. I realize that Snyder won't get me far enough, and now the grid is filled up with pencil marks that I find are basically useless to me. So let me see if I can get rid of them again. I will pause the recording and just get rid of the pencil marks. So I'm back, and as you've noticed, all this time, I've only found two digits in this puzzle here. So here is what I do when I see that a puzzle is going to be very difficult and hard to break. I identify by value cells. Those are cells that can take exactly two values, not 3, not 4, but 2. And that quite often lets me find X-wings, skyscrapers, and fin X-wings, and pairs and triples and quadruples. So why don't we do that for this puzzle? I will pause the video again, and I will now enter the possible values in all squares that can take exactly two values. So now I have entered all the values into cells that can contain exactly two candidates. It looks a lot less cluttered than if I used the Snyder notation, and it gives me personally more information than Snyder does when a puzzle gets really tough. One of the things that I notice is this column here. We only have two cells filled with two values, but I'm looking at the 4 and the 5 blocking here, and I'm looking at the 4 and the 5 blocking here. The column still needs a 3, 4, 5, 7, 9. I believe that I was talking about the 7, 9s, and the 2s earlier. I want to have another look at those now. If we look at the 7, it blocks down here. We know that one of these must be a 9, so a 7 and a 9 block down here. We've got a 7 and a 9 blocking across here. So in effect, these two squares must be 7, 9. Please note, though, that I'm not saying you should never use Snyder notation. I think Snyder is a very good beginning strategy for puzzles that are less than very complex. I'm just saying that they don't do much for me because at the point where pencil marks would be employed, I've already analyzed so much of the grid that the pencil marks wouldn't help me because most of what a pencil would turn up, I would already have analyzed mentally. So there's no need for pencil marks in many cases. But in this case, for example, this puzzle is quite difficult, and I think that the pencil marks are going to help solve it. Since we do have a 3 here, we have these 3 blocking, right? One of these must be a 3, and we have a 3 here, and this square can't be a 3 because of the 3 here, so this is automatically a 3. Now I need to change to this notation. So this helped us find a 3 and a 7-9 pair and a 4-5 pair. Now we have another remote 7-9 pair like so. Another observation that stems from this kind of notation is that look at the 2 and the 3 here. Clearly they're blocking these squares. Look at the 2 and the 3 here. Clearly they're blocking this square. And the 2 and the 3 can't go here either because we know that these two cells can contain only a 4, 5, 7, or a 9. So these two squares must be a 2 and a 3 now. And that in effect gives us two more givens for this row number 8. For demonstration purposes, I will put in the 2 and the 3 pencil marks like so. So we have them here now for everyone to see. One of the things we can see from occupying this square with a 2 or 3 is that a 1 now for this column is restricted to these two squares. It's not going to help us much, but it's something that just adds to our knowledge of this grid and helps us solve it eventually. At least that is my hope. I do believe I have found what is called a naked single. And the naked single is a 7. I will give you a few seconds and see if you can spot it. And then I will tell you how I found it. So here we go. First of all, we need to look at the 9s. We always need to look at something else, don't we? So this 9 blocks up here. So one of these two squares must be a 9. Therefore, this square cannot be a 9. We have just established that one of these squares must be a 1. Therefore, this cannot be a 1 either. Nor can it be a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It could be a 7, yes, but not an 8. And as I said, not a 9 because the 9 up here blocks. So this is in fact a 7. And that gives us a 7 for this square. And now we are rolling. This must be a 7 and this must be a 9. And therefore this square must be a 9. So the exact same thing happens as with Snyder. As soon as we take away one square where we had a pair of candidates, we open up another square for that candidate. In this case, it's a 9. Now that we found the 9 here, everything is blocking over and the 9 is blocking down, so this is a 9. And by the way, the 9 blocks here also, we know that one of these had to be a 9 because of the 9 blocking up. So this is now the 9. And therefore, this square must be a 9. We still need one more 9, and I believe, yes. No, we need 2 here, and they have to go here and here. But there could also be a 9 here, so I'm not doing anything yet. I'm focusing on other areas. These two squares must be a 1 and an 8 now. Something happened to this by value cell, didn't it? Let's see what happened. Let's see what is going on with this column here. We need to find a 3, 8, and a 6. There's a 6 and a 3 blocking this. Therefore, this must be an 8. This is now a 3, 6, and this is a 3, 6. So we input a 3, 6 here. I wouldn't normally do that. At this stage in the puzzle, it wouldn't be necessary. But it is, I think, good for demonstration purposes. Let me look at this row down here again. We need to find a 1, 3, and a 6. There's a 6 blocking here. There's a 6 blocking here. Therefore, this must be a 6. Now this is a 1, 3, and this is a 1, 3. And actually, this we can just input the pencil marks, if you like, a 1 and a 3, like so. I think you might agree that this looks a lot neater than having pencil marks spread all over according to the Snyder notation, especially if those pencil marks are input at a stage of the puzzle where they are not helpful because the puzzle is too complex. Anyway, this is how my brain works and how I like to do it. I'm not saying this is the best way or the only way. I'm saying this is my way. Here we need 1, 5, and 4, and we can't solve that yet. But something happened here to the by value cell. Remember, I always input values to cells that can take exactly 2 values. So if after solving something, I find myself with just 1 digit in a cell, it stands to reason that it's going to be this digit, like a 4, but I'm going to double check. I'm going to check this row here for which we need to find a 1, 4, 6, and a 9. We do have a 1, 9, and a 6 blocking this square. So yes, it is in fact a 4. We also have a 4 here, which is quite lonely. Let's see if this is now a 4. I believe it is, but we'll just do a double check. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yes, this square has got to be a 4. And now these two 4s are blocking over. This 4 is blocking down. Therefore, this is a 4 and this is a 5. This square we can now just input without thinking a 1. These have to be 5 and 9. That is pretty clear. We don't have to input any pencil marks because we can see the 5 blocking over here. So automatically this must be the 9 and this must be the 5. The 5 blocking over here, the 5 blocking over here, and a couple of 5s blocking up and down gives us a 5 for the center square. This 5 is blocking over, therefore this is a 5. We now have all the 5s in this grid secured. Over here we need to find a 2, 3, and a 9. The only place a 9 can go is here. This is now a 2, 3, and this is a 2, 3. If you want, let me just input the 2, 3 here for completeness, but it really shouldn't be necessary at this stage. And therefore, because of this 3 blocking, this would be a 2, 6. Like so. We still have a 1, 8 here, so let's input them. Here's just one digit left. Let's check. We need to find a 1 and a 6 for these squares here. There's a 6 blocking down, so yes, it is true. This square must be a 1, and this therefore must be a 6. A 3, 2, and an 8 for these squares. The 8 can't go here, and the 8 can't go here, so this is an 8. And that isolates this 8 up here, and the 1 must go here. 2, 3, and 6 across. We've got a 6 here, so this is a 2 or a 3. As I said, no need to enter these pencil marks yet, but let's just continue to do so and see what happens. These squares must be an 8 and a 4. We got a 4 in the column. So this is going to be the 1 and this is going to be the 4. And therefore, this must be a 4. This is now a 1, 2 square along with this one, except there's a 1 blocking down, making this a 2 and this a 1. And therefore, this is a 3 and this is a 2. And you can see now that we have exactly the same effect as with Snyder. As soon as we solve one square, the other squares follow like pearls on a string. 3, 2, 3, 6, and a 2. You can see this is actually quite easy. This square must be a 7, and so must this. Up here, we need to find a 8 and a 6. This 6 blocks, therefore this is an 8, and this is a 6. This now must be a 6, and this is our 1. This square over here is going to be a 2, making this a 2, and this square must be an 8. If I've done everything correctly, we get the fireworks. This was just a demonstration of how to solve a relatively difficult puzzle using a minimum number of pencil marks. I'm not saying that nobody should use Snyder notation, because every expert on the net says that we should use Snyder notation. In my personal experience, however, they are not doing much for me when a puzzle is so complex that the pencil marks are not divulging any note, and that you possibly glean something from it and that you will come back for more soon. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.